you know. So I don't know what that's referring to. I don't know if it refers to the JFF
Because
also.
from the players' point of view, there seem to be a disconnect. Is there a problem between the JFF and the players? All right, sports fans, welcome back to another episode of Off the Bench podcast. Today I'm joined by Mr. Dennis Chung. He is the General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation. Mr. Chung, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Not so bad, happy that the girls are doing well,
Yes,
and
yes.
yes, and that's why you're here.
Yeah, man. Delighted for them.
Now, we have made history on many occasions so far in the World Cup. First win, first point, and now the first time into the round of 16. What was the most memorable moment for you?
Um, you know, I think that in terms of this campaign, um, I would say that what was most memorable for me was the first match. The draw against France. For me, it showed at that point, what we're in store for as a country, because the mental determination that we saw in that game, was significant. Um, it's memorable for me because I remember when they played the first time, and going into the World Cup against the number 5 team, after coming from the last World Cup and losing every game, only their second World Cup. For me, I think that was the point at which when I saw it, I said, yes, this team can go all the way, you know, um, because they showed a mental grit, that is required for athletes to be successful at anything. And that for me was most memorable at that time, just watching them there. I knew that they would beat Panama, right? And
Yeah.
then after we've seen what they did in the first 2 games, I really had no doubt that they would walk away with a draw today. And in the second round, it's a fantastic achievement by the girls, And I mean, we talk about what the girls have done, but the staff that's behind them, the technical staff, the supporting staff that's there, the staff that's here at the secretariat who day and night work to ensure that the organization is behind it. Whether it's visas, whether it's ensuring hotels are in place, finding the funding, that's not an easy task, I can tell you, because, I mean, they're working until 9, 10 o'clock at night to make sure things happen. The staff who is with them there, I know I talk to them all sort of hours of the day because of the time difference, and they're really doing a lot. So I want to commend all the staff. I want to commend the girls, who go out there and perform, because they've really accomplished something significant by doing that.
With the wonderful showing of the Reggae Girlz, what does this mean for Jamaica, the JFF, on a whole?
Well, if I deal with the JFF first, I think that it just emphasizes the rebuilding that's happening. And I would have come in at a time when certain things were being put in place. I mean, we have to talk, for example, about the Adidas contract. It's a significant contract, the biggest contract ever, sporting contract ever in Jamaica, and the president had negotiated that. And that contract has turned out to be such a blessing in terms of funding, in terms of attention on Jamaica, the number 1 selling kit in the world for Adidas. Just the demand that you hear about. I mean, I go into the Adidas store in Times Square, and they say that the Jamaica kit is the hottest selling item um, that they have in Times Square. You know, so leading up from that, getting a new coach, Hal Grimson, you know, the work that the girls have done. I mean, we talk about the girls, but you know, you see the boys and how the boys have played and gelled together. I mean, getting to the semi-final in the Gold Cup is no mean feat. You know, of course, they didn't do as well as we would like them to, but I can tell you that they really have done well. So that that whole rebuilding exercise, that the president has always spoken about, I think we're seeing a lot of that coming through now.
You stated earlier that you are in dialogue with the staff over there in Australia. But
Yeah.
what is the general vibe like in the camp?
Well, the reports I get from them when I talk to them, because I speak to the HOD, the director and the manager, more than anybody else, and the press secretary, um, press officer, and they seem okay. I mean, there are some issues that sometimes they have to deal with, but that goes to the territory, and they seem okay there. I'm not getting any other negative reports coming out from them in terms of the organization and everything. So I think they're handling themselves pretty well up there. You know, um, and I would like to think that the work that they're doing adds significantly to what is going on. So, I mean, once you're doing it, once it's working up there, that's fine.
On the football side of things, potentially we can be looking at Colombia or Germany. You have any preference?
Well, it's not for me, you know. Is really for the technical staff to determine which one is best for them. Um, so they are the technical people, for me, in a preference they want. But at the end of the day, I think that anything that they get, they'll go with, because they've shown that mental grit, and I think that they'll just be prepared for it.
All right. Uh, I just have to touch on this. We've been hearing a little bit of negativity as it relates to the
Yeah.
international media, as it relates to the JFF and the lack of resources for the girls. Girls not getting enough help. What say you about this?
Well, I think the international media has been misled on it and have represented some things that are not true. I'm surprised about it that they wouldn't even call and check on it. I was even more surprised that our local media, the Gleaner and Observer, just picked up the story and ran with it and didn't even call to verify it. Um, and I think it all emanated from a story in the Athletic, which I think was incorrect. The person from the Athletic had reached out to me and said, "Listen, bringing up a whole lot of negative things from 2019." And I said, boy, I can't really go back and comment on 2019. I'm dealing with 2023 now. And what I said also is that I didn't want to comment at this time on the things that they were bringing up, but I also said that what was being said was inaccurate, and we could talk after the World Cup is over, because I thought that was the most appropriate time to talk. And they still went ahead and published it. So I see a lot of inaccuracies in what they've published, and if they had taken the time to just wait a little bit or research it, they would have found out. So it wasn't a credible story that came out of the Athletic, to be honest with you. And I think it just fueled a lot of things. ESPN just picked it up, CNN just picked it up, BBC just picked it up. Nobody fact checked it, But what I can say to you is that the primary funding that has come to the JFF is really from the sources, and we spent about $2 million US preparing to get everybody up, which is a lot of money, right? And we've had camps from the two Paraguay games. We've had a camp in Florida. We've had the Australia Four Nation tournament. We've had the UK camp. We've had a camp in Jamaica. We've had Amsterdam, and going to the World Cup. We played Morocco before we got. So it's quite a bit that has happened in terms of expenditure. I mean, you think about it, JFF has paid for all of those travel, right? We've paid for all of the hotel accommodation. Apart, not I wouldn't say all. I mean, we've got some help, for example, at the UK side with from Bob Marley Foundation. You know, I mean, God bless them. Sidel has done very well in that from that point of view. But 95% of the funding has come through the JFF, right? Most of it has come from FIFA. We've had the government put money in from day one. They've been there. We've had sponsors. Some sponsors from day one have been there, particularly SDF, Stewards, Jamaica Stewards, and Wisinko. We've had money come from Bob Marley Foundation, the Reggae Girlz Foundation, and Adidas. And that is basically where our money come from, you know. So when you talk about crowdfunding, there has not been any, not even 1 cent that has come from them. So I don't understand how the international media just picked it up, and our local media, some of them, and just run with it, you know, because I know that the staff at the JFF has worked tirelessly, right? I talk about 9, 10 o'clock at nights to ensure that the funding is in place to do all of these things, you know. Access funding, you know, working with FIFA and CONCACAF. I said, hey, this is where we can access funding, and they've worked on it, gone through a lot of stress, get with sponsors, you know, get money from sponsors, have to build that confidence with sponsors. And, you know, I really, really need to big up our sponsors that have come on board. And that is where the money has come from. And it has not been an easy road. I can tell you that, because, you know, for an organization that, you know, has had its financial challenges, $2 million US is not a lot of money. Is a lot of money, sorry, to raise.
So on the topic of the funding, I'm seeing here that the girls started a GoFundMe. Is that correct? Can you confirm
Well,
that?
you know, I don't know about that, apart from the fact that the person who organized it has reached out to me. You know, initially I said, okay, come and talk to me. Let's organize it. Let's launch it. The next thing I knew, it was launched. I heard it was launched. I released a statement to say that the JFF has no connection with any GoFundMe. The person sent me an email after that, sort of like giving me an update on it. I said, well, listen, I can't sanction it from the JFF's point of view, because I have to think about, you know, source of funding and all that. You know, I'm coming from a corporate background. And I said, well, I can't sanction something I don't know about how the accounting for the funds is going, right? Because the JFF name is on the line. And also it would have to be launched in conjunction with the JFF. When I responded to that email in that way, I didn't hear anything else from them on it. And I don't know, you know, anything else about the GoFundMe. I understand it exists, right? And it was launched. As to the use of funds, I can safely say that JFF has not received any funds, and JFF has stood all the costs, right, for the travel, for the hotel, for the baggage, the incidentals, everything, medical supplies, everything. So I don't know if it was used some other way, but certainly it was not used through the JFF.
So that overhead costs, does that include the wages for the players per diem and such
Yeah,
things?
man. So we've said that the wages in terms of match fees, you know, money was owed from last year. We haven't been able to pay that fully down. We're up to date with all the per diem, right? But we still owe for the match fees. And the commitment that the president made is that once we receive the prize money and the incentive money from Adidas, we're going to pay off all of the money that's owed to the girls first before we pay everything. So that's the plan. And after that, we know we'd have fully liquidated all the debts to them, you know, because we had paid up a lot of per diem that was owed from last year. a lot of reimbursements for baggage and all of that. We actually paid off all of that. And, for current things like baggage and all of that, we actually do provide the money for that. From time to time, like the medical team might come to us and say, we need 20 items. We'll supply the 20 items. When the medical team gets there, though, and they're faced with a situation, they might say, well, I need 2 more things, and they go and buy it and we'll reimburse them. Or someone has an extra bag which we didn't calculate, they might pay for it and we'll reimburse them on it. But we always do the reimbursements, so we never let anyone pay for their bag. I know there's some money coming forward from last year, which we cleared up, right, from before I went there. But we always reimbursables. That's something we don't play with. The cost of the travel, like baggage and so, and per diem, we do pay up the per diem.
But I heard, what about the 30,000 that FIFA should be paying each player?
Well, what I
double-
understand that the president said, the Infantino, I thought initially it was going to be paid to the players directly. Infantino said what he would be doing is paying the money to the federations, and then the federations pass it on. If that commitment was made for the $30,000 each for each player, I mean, of course, if FIFA says to us this is to be paid to them, then we're going to pay it. I mean, I'm very transparent that way, and I don't want anybody to say that I held on to any money. So once money is due to them, it will be paid. I can tell you that.
So those monies in addition to the backlog.
Yeah, in addition to that. So
right.
Whatever money is due to us and we owe them, we're going to pay them.
Definitely. Nice to hear that, because I was thinking about that. Nice to hear that. Now, going back to comments made in public, I don't know if you are aware of what Rebecca Spencer said after the Brazil game in the post-match interview.
Yeah, well, someone was telling me that she was talking about the crowdfunding. That is how the JFF the girls got to the World Cup, right? And I think I've spoken on that. I'm just saying what the facts are with the funding.
No, I wasn't talking about that specifically. She made a quote: "The ones up above us, they don't believe in us, and they wanna put us through things we don't want to go through."
I don't know what that. I don't know what that refers to.
She's referring to the JFF.
I don't know because what we do is, and certainly from the secretariat point of view, I've always pointed out, we put a management team in place, we put a coaching staff in place, we put a medical staff in place, and they are the experts. So whatever they request from us, we provide. Our role at the secretariat is to provide what is requested, and make things easier so that they have the resources, and that's what we've been doing. And sometimes we've been doing it, in very sharp manner. So, for example, I have a policy that we should request medical equipment 2 weeks in advance. Sometimes we get the request 3 days in advance, and people have to run out and find it, but we do find it. So I don't know what that's referring to. I don't know if it refers to the JFF because also.
From the players' point of view, there seems to be a disconnect. Is there a problem between the JFF and the players?
Well, I know that there were some issues the other day that they spoke about.
Were they resolved fully?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell what's in someone's mind. What I know that we do is we do everything that we can from a professional point of view, and get whatever they request to them. So if they request petty cash, for example, to buy snacks, we'll get that to them. Outside of that, we put a head of delegation in place when they're traveling. We put a manager in place. And basically what I do is I discuss issues with the management team. I believe in the protocol, right? So I'm not going to go directly to a player and talk about issues. I mean, I have a management team in place. I have a general manager in the name of Roy Simpson. and then Roy deals with the managers, and I'll deal with Roy, or I'll deal with sorry, the managers, and they tell me what the issues are, or the HOD when they're traveling, the press officer, and those are the people that I talk to. Um, now and again, a player might talk to me about something, particularly, on the boys' side. A lot of the boys will call me and they'll talk to me about things, and just like I talk to everybody else. But when I have issues to deal with, certainly from an organization point of view, I deal directly through my managers on it, because I think that's a proper protocol to follow.
Okay then. Wonderful. Any last message or any messages for the Jamaican public and also the Reggae Girlz?
Yeah, so for the Jamaican public, I'd say, continue to support the girls, continue to support the program. Understand also that, football can't grow without the support of the public. Um, we also have, although we have Reggae Girls now, coming up this month, we have under 14 girls going to Antigua. We have under 15 boys going to Dumbrep, just coming back from Trinidad. We have the under 17 girls who are going to be playing in the CONCACAF tournament, and all of this is in August. Next month, September, we have 3 home games, 2 boys home games, and 1 girls home game. And then I think that the following month we have another 3 games, right? And then down to December, we have between September and December about 12 games, potentially 6 here. And to the Reggae Girls, we support them. We're doing everything that we can on the back end to make sure that things are comfortable there. And we're very proud of the achievement, that they've made for Jamaica. And we know that they'll continue to do well. I wish them all the best.
Thank you very much. So,
Yeah, man.
folks, that was Mr. Dennis
No
Chung,
problem.
Gensec of the JFF. Thank you very much for taking
Yeah,
time out in
man.
a
No
busy
problem.
schedule.
All right. Good.
All right.